Hi, so you want to do your bit to save the planet. You want a bright, light and sunny home, and you want basically just enough light to be able to see what it is that you're doing. So this is part of my Eco Home series where I'm covering different aspects of home design, and today we are going to be looking at lighting. So if you have any questions, please comment below. If you're watching this live, I will try and pick those up and answer them as we're on the live call. And if you're watching this on the replay, put hashtag replay and still comment below, and I'll come back and pick up your questions later. So, who am I? Let me introduce myself. I'm Jane. I am the founding director of iArchitect, and I specialise in working with homeowners to make your home that beautiful, lovely, characterful home that you've always wanted and you deserve. And at the same time, I incorporate innovative eco-design techniques into my designs so that I can help you to do your bit to protect the planet as well. So today we're going to be looking at lighting, and I'm going to focus today on natural lighting because lighting is a huge topic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see there's a lighting designer that I work with frequently. I'm going to see if I can get her to come along and join me with a live Q&A about lighting design and looking more at electric lighting, artificial lighting. But today I'm going to be focusing on natural lighting because that is where that's the kind of lighting that I tend to work mostly with. So it's coming from windows, coming from outside. So things that you need to take into account when you're thinking about natural light is that it moves, it changes throughout the day, it changes with different seasons. It gets lighter obviously in the summer and stays lighter for longer, and then it's darker in the winter, and sometimes it feels like it's never really quite got light, depending on where you are. If you're up in Scotland, you have days when it's really dark. Also, the sun moves. I mean, these are all things that you all know, but when you're thinking about design and taking into account natural light in your design, these are things that you really need to consider. So which direction is your window facing, and are you going to get sunshine in the morning, in the middle of the day, in the afternoon? And are those the times of days that you want to be in those rooms? Do you want to enjoy the sunshine, or are you going to be doing sort of screen-based activities and you want to avoid having glare from the sun? So these are all different things to take into account when you're thinking about natural light. And then there's north light as well. And along with the light comes the potential for solar gain, and that can be a positive or a negative thing. So, it could contribute to overheating and you feeling uncomfortably hot, or it could be that you actually enjoy having that sunshine because it gives that extra boost of warmth and it feels really cozy, as well as you enjoy the sunshine itself and the brightness of it. So, for example, in my home, I have my studio, my office, faces east, and that means that in the morning I love to come down. I work from home. I come down, sit in my east facing office, and the sunshine really is when we get sunshine, that really helps me to get going in the morning and get into work. Maybe you have more of a west facing space and you enjoy using that in the evening, and you love sitting there in the sunshine in the evening. Whatever time of day it is, it's good to think about how you want to use your spaces and at what times of day, particularly when you're looking at how you're going to work with the natural light, because you can't change the direction of the sun, so you have to work with it. You also think about the colours that natural light has. So when the sun is shining in that direction, so for example, an east facing room in the morning or a west facing room in the evening, it's going to feel significantly brighter and warmer, whereas at the opposite time of the day, so an east facing room later in the afternoon or a west facing room in the morning, the colour of the room is going to be much grayer and cooler. So that can really affect your mood and how you feel in that space. So again, when you're looking at making a home that you really love and enjoy being in, which is what I'm always seeking to achieve for my clients, then taking account of the types of light that you get in those spaces and at different times of day really can help you to love your home and enjoy being there. So another thing to take into account when you're working with natural light is the fact that to get natural light in, you need to have windows somewhere, whether they're on the wall or whether they're in the roof. We'll talk about that a bit later. But regardless of where it is, you're going to need to use some glass. And glass is not as efficient at maintaining heat as a solid wall with good insulation is. So you also need to take into account the amount of either solar gain that you might be getting through the sunshine or heat loss that you could be getting through the glass. So there are lots of different ways. Glass is incredibly technical, and there are so many different things that you can do with glass. Obviously there's single glazing, double glazing, triple glazing. The gap between the 2 panes of glass or 3 panes of glass can be filled with different kinds of gases like argon gas, which can increase the performance of that from a heat loss point of view. And yeah, this is getting quite technical, but those sorts of things, you can get e-coated glass that will also help reduce the amount of heat that you lose through that glass. And then there are other kinds of coating that you can get that can also add a bit to your enjoyment of your life, such as self-cleaning coatings, where the rainwater on the outside of the glass will literally just wash away any dirt, so you don't really need to clean it so often. So that can really add, depending on how clean you like your windows and how much you dislike washing them, that can add to your enjoyment of your life as well. So other things in relation to glass that will also affect the light, and also you can play with to be able to change the effect internally. So you can get different sorts of coloured glass that can also, colours have a really strong effect on mood and emotion. So you can use the colour in the glass to create a certain atmosphere if you're looking to do that inside. You can use transparent glass, obviously you can see through, and then you maybe want to take into account what it is that you're looking out onto. Is that beautiful, and do you want to do some work to the outside space as well to make it look more beautiful if you've got control over it? Perhaps if you've not got control of it and you don't like looking at it, you can use opaque glass. You can use different kinds of glass with different textures if you want to use the glass to, for example, like stained glass, and you can get some beautiful like stained glass panels, but rather than using colours, you can use clear, plain, white glass, but use different textures, and you can get a similar effect to a stained glass panel, but purely through texture, and that can be really, really beautiful, and then doesn't affect your ability to change your internal colour scheme at a later date if you wanted to do that. Where are we? And then finally, you need to think maybe about privacy. If privacy is an issue, you maybe don't necessarily want other people to be able to see in. What you can do is you can get reflective glass so that it reflects from outside. It's like a one-way mirror. So from outside, it's mirrored and people can't really see in. Apart from in the evening when you've got your light on inside, sometimes they are able to see in then, but you can still see out. I mean, doing that does reduce the amount of natural light that you get coming in, but if privacy is a higher priority for you, then that is an option. So in terms of placement of your windows, obviously walls are where most people have windows in their walls, and The way that you can look at different kinds of windows is the higher up the window goes towards the ceiling, the further into the room that natural light is going to enter. So you can get more light deeper into the room the higher the window is. And if you think about the sill, the bottom of the window, the lower down you drop that window, the more light you're going to get hitting the floor, and then potentially, depending on what your floor finish is like, more light reflecting in. And also, if you've got children or you want to sit down in that room and spend most of your time sitting, then having a lower windowsill will make it easier for children to see out, which they can really enjoy. And also, if you're sitting down as well, it will also help you sit down. And if you're looking out onto your garden, you want to be able to see plants that are in the ground, again, having a lower windowsill can help improve your view of your garden. So these are all, the actual format of the window is also key. I mean, if you're thinking about in your kitchen, you will want to have it obviously above your worktop really, but then you can look at the width of the window and how wide that is and how much of the wall is glazed, taking into account what I said earlier about heat performance, maintaining the warmth in your home. With glass, you want to be it's more expensive to do that in glass and get a similar effect to a wall itself. Roof lights are another option. So if you've got, say, quite a deep extension, then adding roof lights in will help you bring light deeper into the plan and allow you to make the space more evenly lit with natural light, and you actually get more light coming in through a roof light than you would do through a vertical window, which what you would have in a wall. There'll be more light coming through that. And alternatives to roof lights are things like sun pipes, where you can, if you're not able to have a roof light directly over your space, you get a reflective tube and you can bring it in to a slightly different space if you want to. It's good. The roof lights are brilliant in terms of if you had a room and you had no windows at all, then your walls are completely free of windows, so you can use your walls for something else, books or pictures or whatever it is. It gives you quite a different sort of mood, more of an introspective kind of mood if you're not able to really see out or all you can see is the sky. So that's another thing to take into account. And then the third way to get natural light into your rooms is what we would call borrowed light. So you're borrowing light from a lighter space to bring into a darker space, and there are lots of different ways that you can do this as well. So you can do things like have a top light, which is a window over the top of the door. You can have a glazed door so that the door itself allows light through. You can have sections of the wall or the whole of the wall being glass or something like glass block. So again, it's transparent and it's letting light through. And these are all different ways that you can sort of bring light in and make darker spaces that are more perhaps within the middle of the plan, make them lighter and through natural light. Then, so finally, the final thing to really take into account is your surfaces, what their finishes are. So if they're reflective, and what sort of depth of colour, what tone of colour they are. So lighter colours will feel brighter, and they're not going to absorb as much of the light, so it will feel lighter. Darker colours, they'll give a completely different feel, and maybe a bit moodier or maybe a bit cozier, and that might be what you want to do. But it's certainly not going to feel as bright. And then if you use more reflective, higher sheen surfaces, like a gloss surface, it's going to reflect the light, so the light will bounce off that surface and make the space brighter, rather than if you use a matte finish or a low sheen finish. it will still bounce off to some extent, but much less. So the reflectiveness of your surface will have an effect on how much light, and especially if you're trying to borrow light from another room, if the room that you're trying to borrow it from is very low reflectance on all of the surfaces, you're going to be less likely to get much light into that space that's darker that you want to borrow light for. So I hope that this has been useful. If you have any questions at all, please pop them below. I don't see any questions on live, so if you have any questions watching the replay, put #replay and pop your questions down below. Any questions about natural light, and if you have any questions about artificial light, I am going to see if I can get the lighting designer that I work with a lot to come join me and deliver a Q&A session for you, so that you can ask her about different kinds of more like LED lighting, or different sort of maybe controls, lighting controls. So she can really cover those in a lot more depth than I can. And so that's everything about lighting. If you would like to have my help to help you transform your home so that you can really fall back in love with it and enjoy living there, then the best place to start is to get hold of the Design Your Home Vision checklist. You can download this and it will help you to make all those major fundamental decisions that you need to make. I know some people come to me and they're not sure, they haven't quite made all the decisions, or they're not even sure really which decisions they need to make. So this checklist will help you to make sure that you have got all the decisions made that you need to make to start your project off on the right foot. And it also will give you a guide to the pieces of information you need to gather to be able to pass that on to your architect or whoever is going to be working on your project with you, to help inform them so that they can design the best solution for you. If you want to get hold of that, there will be some information in the description above, so you can click on that and you can get your copy that way. Okay, I'll look forward to speaking to you next week. Bye for now.